So we'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Samrupagatamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapadakamayam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahirina Raghunatamitam Sajivim Sadvaitam Savadutam Jana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Papadam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharye Nirvisipsha Shandavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Mahamanyaya Krishna Premapadaye Te Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gavatrishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Taptakamsan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabana Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You can be muted and recite along with me. कार्पण्यदोषोपहातस्वभावा पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेता यश्रेयस्या निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम् देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्ते धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति न जायते म्रूयते वा कदाचिन्नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयात् अजो नित्यशाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां भयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणैकर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते एवं परम्परा प्राप्तं मम राजर्षयो विदु सकाले नेह महता योगो नष्टपरन्तप परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे जन्मकर्म च मे दिव्यमेवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वता त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नयति मामेति सोऽर्जुन तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिना ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोन एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा भोक्तारं यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मता Okay, who will read today? Someone. Okay, yes. Yes, bro. So, you can recite after me. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहम्
ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहम्
मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मानुष्या पार्थ सर्वशः
मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः
So our Baldev Vidyabhushan, he explains the connection between the two shlokas, between the previous shloka. So previous shloka, Lord is telling why he incarnates in this world and all, why he descends into this world. So Arjuna asked this question. I have to some degree understood that you are the Supreme Lord with attract to eternal birth and activities. And I have heard from scriptures that you, though the size of a thumb, are indeed the Lord without birth. Therefore, you should have various forms and there must be various methods of worshipping you. Krishna is telling through this shloka, yes, with whatever type of mode yatha the devotees worship prapadyante me, the one Lord of all beings, but who possesses many forms like the Vaiduraja. So Arjuna is asking that, uh, so, so so you must have many different forms. So Lord is saying, yes, as as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So there are different forms worshipped in different moods, and each of them have a different path. Like mm, there is Narayan form, so they have a different path, like Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. Like Lord Ram, they have a different path. So like that. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
Everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence and as the all pervading Super Soul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as a devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as a supreme master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally, according to the different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord, and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalist and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality.
Okay. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, you can read the remaining thing also.
Some of them who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence return to this material field to exhibit the dormant desire for activities. They are not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruity workers, and the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties as the Yadneshwara. And those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon His mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless, therefore, one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect, as it stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. Whenever one is without desire, the condition of the devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culmination in Krishna consciousness.
Okay. So, yeah, there are different forms of the Lord, and there are different manifestations of the Lord. Like, yeah, there is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. We studied this in the Ishopanishad. And in the Bhagavan, there are different forms like Narayan, Ram, Narsimha, Vamana, all, and Krishna. And with Krishna, again, there are different rasas. Mm, Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhyaras. So in that way, there are like different paths. And as we discussed earlier, uh, even in the Karma Yoga, so one has to accept the authority of the Lord, and one should worship the Lord as supreme Lord of the material universe. So that element of bhakti is essential for one's success in Karma Yoga. So without that, one will not be successful in Karma Yoga. So even though there are so many paths, Lord says that people prefer the shortest path because it gives material results quickly. Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devata
काङ्क्षन्ता कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्त इह देवता
क्षिप्रम हि मानुषी लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा.
क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा.
Because it gives shipram, the siddhi, the success will be faster. So the people who want material things, they prefer to worship the demigods because demigods give the results quickly. Men in this world desire success in fruity activities and therefore they worship the demigods quickly. Of course, men get results from fruity work in this world. Yes, you can read the purport.
There is a great misconception about the gods or demigods of this material world, and men of less intelligence, although passing as great scholars, take these demigods to be the various forms of the Supreme Lord. Actually, the demigods are not different forms of God, but they are God's different parts and parcels. God is one, and the parts and parcels are many. The Vedas say, Nityo Nityanam, the God is one. Ishvara Parama Krishna, the Supreme God is one, Krishna, and the demigods are delegated with the powers to manage this material world. These demigods are all living entities, Nityanam, with different grades of material power. They cannot be equal to the Supreme God Narayan, Vishnu, or Krishna. Anyone who thinks that the God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or Pashandi. Even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. In fact, the Lord is worshipped by the demigods such as Brahma and Shiva, Virinchi Nutam. Yet, curiously enough, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by foolish men under the misunderstanding of the
Morphism.
anthro- anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. Iha Devata denotes a powerful man or demigod of this material world. But Narayan, Vishnu, or Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, does not belong to this world. He is above or transcendental to material creation. Even Sripad Shankaracharya, the leader of the impersonalists, maintains that Narayana or Krishna is beyond this material creation. However, foolish people, Rita Jnana, worship the demigods because they want immediate results. They get the results but do not know that the results so obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent persons. The intelligent person is Krishna consciousness, and he has no need to worship the paltry demigods for some immediate temporary benefit. The demigods of this material world, as well as their worshippers, will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. The boons of the demigods are material and temporary. Both the material worlds and their inhabitants, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the cosmic ocean.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, one of the symptoms, prominent symptoms of a fruitive worker is they want the shortest path. They want instant results. So, so compared to the worship of Vishnu, because the worship of Vishnu or Krishna, it has a lot of spiritual benefits. But people who are interested in material results, uh, they don't want, they will not, they don't prefer that. But they want, instead, they prefer the worship of demigods. And yes, here Prabhupada is saying about some people think demigods are same as or different forms of God. So that is, and again in Advaita philosophy, where we studied, as in Vishopnishad, we discussed that when Brahman comes in contact with goodness, So they form the demigods as well as incarnations. So in that Advaitavad and Mayavad philosophy, they place both demigods and the incarnations, the Bhagavan form of Lord, at the same level, but which is a wrong philosophy. They are gods, different parts. Like they are also jivatmas, but they are little empowered jivatmas. Yeah, anthropomorphism and zoomorphism means anthropomorphism means God can be human, like worshipping humans as God. So people worship sometimes like social reformers, celebrities, politicians. So they worship them as if they are God. So that is anthropomorphism. Zoomorphism is God can come in form of animals. So like there are people like pagan worshippers. They used to worship animal forms. Some tribals also may be doing now. So that is called zoomorphism. Yes, bro, you can continue in this world.
In this world, however, human society is mad after the temporary things such as material opulence of possessing land, family, and enjoyable paraphernalia. To achieve such temporary things, people worship the demigods or the powerful men in the human society. If a man gets some ministership in the government by worshipping a political leader, he considers that he has achieved a great boon. All of them are therefore no towing to,
The
to the
so-called.
so-called leaders of or big guns in order to achieve temporary boons, and they indeed achieve such things. Such foolish men are not interested in Krishna consciousness for the permanent solution to the hardship of material existence. They are all after the sense enjoyment, and to get a little facility for sense enjoyment, they are attracted to worship empowered living entities known as demigods. This was indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment, and therefore they worship some powerful living entity.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise they may not, some people may not even, they may just do religion as a formality, but they worship and adore and want to hear the pastimes of the so-called famous people of this world, or their own bosses, or something like that. They try to pamper and all. They think this is how, because if once people are interested in materialistic things, they want to have the shortest path possible. And even the Vedic path also, it is relatively, it appears little difficult. Like you have to do yajna, dhana, tapa, and all these are difficult. So they may choose the non-Vedic path. And because now the kings are also, means the leaders are also not worried or not focused on ensuring the Vedic path. So that's why the people more readily choose non-Vedic paths to achieve their to fulfill their material desires. In the earlier times, the kings were very focused on ensuring that everyone follows the Vedic culture. So these things are corrected. If somebody is trying to get something by not by going against Vedic culture, but now it is not like that. Okay. So now Krishna says, yeah, since people want materialistic things, so that's why Krishna instituted Varnashram, so that they can fulfill their material desires, but also simultaneously accepting the authority of Krishna. Chaturvarnam maya shrishtam gunakarma vibhagasa
चतुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्म विभागश
tasya kartaramapि mam vidhi akartaramavvyayam.
तस्य कर्तारमपि मां विद्यकार्तरम् अव्ययम्.
According to three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Yeah. Like, yeah, this Chatur Varnam Maya system. So these four Varnas, this is created by Krishna. So that's why they are eternal. Means though in Kali Yuga, in the form, the Varnashram system is not there, but we can see the types of personality. Everywhere it is there. It's not just in India, but even in the West, and also these classes are there. Though Kali Yuga, because there is some mixed thing and there is no culture present exactly, but it is there. So means Krishna only has created the system, means this organization, everything. But Krishna is not personally involved in that because Krishna does not have any material motive. Yeah, so that Prabhupada will explain the purport. Let me read it. Yes, Prabhupada, you can read the purport.
The Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of Him, everything is sustained by Him, and everything after annihilation rests in Him. He is therefore the creator of the four divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of men, technically called Brahmanas, due to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technically called as the Kshatriyas, due to their being situated in the mode of passion. And the mercantile men, called as Vaishyas, are situated in the mixed mode of passion and ignorance, and the Shudras or the laborer class are situated in the ignorant mode of the material nature. In spite of his creating the four divisions of the human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions because he is not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom form human society. Human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from the animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. The tendency of a particular man towards work is determined by the modes of the material nature which he has acquired. Such symptoms of life, according to the different modes of material nature, are described in the 18th chapter of this book. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmanas. Although Brahmanas by quality are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only impersonal Brahman manifestation of the Lord Krishna. But a man who transcends the limited knowledge of a Brahmana and reaches the knowledge of the supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, a Vaishnava. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions of Krishna, namely Ram, Narsimha, Varaha, etc. And as Krishna is transcendental to this system of four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or species.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So if someone has prominently desires in goodness, he will get a Brahmana birth. Someone has desires both in goodness and passion, then Kshatriya birth. Someone has desires in passion and ignorance, Vaishya birth. And if only someone has desires in ignorance, that is Shudra birth. Means in some way there is also spiritual gradation also. Brahmanas are supposed to be spiritually advanced, Kshatriyas bit lower, but they are also advanced. So like that, that is also there. So, but Krishna does not involve in the Varnashrama. Means Krishna does not become a part. Krishna maintains the system, but Krishna is not involved in the system because Krishna does not need anything material. So the whole goal of Varnashrama is to allow people to fulfill their material desires in a regulated and bona fide way. So we saw this again in even in the third chapter that so the human beings they offer the sacrifices to demigods and demigods fulfill their desires. So in that way, both are happy. So along as in the as they follow the Varnashrama, the the people also slowly get evolved. They get purified because they chant the names of Vishnu, they worship Vishnu, and they hear the knowledge of Atma, etc. So slowly, but it's very gradual, very slow, over tens and hundreds of years. Now Krishna is telling how he is not personally involved in the Varnashram system. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spriha
Namam karmani limpanti name karma phalaspriha.
iti mam yo abhijanati karma bhir nasabadhyate.
Iti mam yopi janati karma bhirna sabhadyate.
There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. Yeah, yeah. Can read the purport.
As there are constitutional laws in the material world stating that the king can do no wrong, or the king is not subject to the state laws, similarly, the Lord, although he is the creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. He creates and remains aloof from the creation, whereas the living entities are entangled in the fruitive results of the material activities because of their propensity for lording it over the material resources. The proprietor of an establishment is not responsible for the right and wrong activities of the workers, but the workers are themselves responsible. The living entities are engaged in their respective activities of sense gratification, and these activities are not ordained by the Lord. For advancement of sense gratification, the living entities are engaged in the work of this world, and they aspire to heavenly happiness after death. The Lord, being full in himself, has no attraction for so called heavenly happiness. The heavenly demigods are only his engaged servants. The proprietor never desires the low grade happiness such as the worker may desire. He is aloof from the material actions and reactions. For example, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetations that appear on the earth, although without such rains, there is no possibility of vegetative growth.
Yeah.
Vedic
So,
Smriti confirms
yeah. So
this. Yeah.
because Lord does not have any material desires, so he does not involve himself in in the in this varnashrama system, and he remains aloof. So he just as per, so the knowledge is given to the people, and based on that knowledge, whatever people desire, if they deserve, Lord awards to them. So he is not he is not materially partial to anyone. So he gives more results to somebody and less results someone someone else. It's not like that because Lord does not have this favoritism on a material level. So yeah, Prabhupada is giving the example of a proprietor of a business, something like he is not he just maintains this, executes the system. He does not materially on a material level favor some particular worker and all. So if the worker's performance is good, he is rewarded. The worker's performance is bad, he is demoted. So it's like that. So similarly, Lord is also like that. That appear although without such. Yeah, like rain also, rains fall in the same way on the ground, but depends upon the ground. If the ground is fertile, there is crops grow there. But if the land is not fertile, the crops don't grow. So it's like that. Yeah, you can continue. Vedic Smriti confirms this fact.
Vedic Smriti confirms this fact as follows: Nimittamatram eva sau srijanam sarga karmani pradhana karani bhuta yato vaisrajya shaktaya. In the material creations, the Lord is the only supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature, by which the cosmic manifestation is made visible. The created beings are of many varieties, such as the demigods, human beings, and lower animals, and all of them are subject to the reactions of their past good or bad activities. The Lord only gives them the proper facilities for such activities and the regulations of the modes of nature, but He is never responsible for their past and present activities. In the Vedanta Sutra 2.1.34, it is confirmed
Sham,
Vaishamyan Nairagnye na
Nasa,
sapekshvatvat. The Lord is never partial to any living entity. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. The Lord only gives him facilities through the agency of material nature, the external energy. Anyone who is fully conversant with all the intricacies of this law of karma or fruitive activities does not become affected by the result of his activities. In other words, the person who understands this transcendental nature of the Lord is an experienced man in Krishna consciousness, and thus he is never subjected to the laws of karma. One who does not know the transcendental nature of the Lord and who thinks that the activities of the Lord are aimed at fruitive results, as are the activities of the ordinary living entities, certainly becomes entangled himself in the fruitive actions. But one who knows the supreme truth is a liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, thank you. So if you see Lord, Lord dancing with gopis, it means Lord does not have any material desire. He does not want to get any material happiness from them. Because the gopis wanted to serve the Lord in a particular way, to reciprocate with them, Lord accordingly behaved with them. So it's not like Lord wants to become king of Mathura or Dwarka. It is a means to reciprocate with the devotees there. So the devotees in Mathura and all, they want to serve the Lord in a Aishwarya way, in a mood of awe and reverence. So Lord accepted that position as a king and all. Yeah. So in that way, Lord is materially impartial to everyone. He whatever, if one does pious things, he is rewarded, and if one does impious things, he is punished accordingly. So in that way, if someone understands that Lord does not have any material motives, so then one will also want to approach, and Lord is only doing selflessly for the upliftment of the conditioned souls. Because the conditioned souls, as they follow this Varnashrama system, one thing is their material desires are fulfilled, but along with that, they also get spiritually purified. So because Lord is only doing selflessly for all the conditioned souls to for their upliftment. So when one realizes that how Lord is very selfless and all, so then one will also want to become attracted to the Lord and wants to do devotional service. So, yeah. Like even if you see rich people also, they they do philanthropy. So they do just for the benefit of the society, because they are already, their all needs and all desires, everything is fulfilled. They may do that, so they don't have anything to do, they don't have anything to get from those activities at a selfish materialistic level. So it's a non-profit. So even the material world and varnashram system is like a non-profit. So Krishna does not have any selfish motive. So Krishna is already rich with the spiritual bliss in the world. So like that. Yeah. And another example can be like a student studying in the school. So principal is not responsible if student fails or does not pass, because it is the student's performance. So similarly, uh, the material upliftment or the material degradation is the living entities, living entity is only responsible. Lord is not responsible. Okay. So in the next sloka, uh, Krishna is again emphasizing Arjuna to do his duty. Evam gyatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhi
एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः
kuru karmaiva tasmat tvam purvataram kritam.
कुरु कर्मैव तस्मात् त्वं पूर्वैर्पूर्वतरं कृतम्.
The translation: all the liberated soul in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. So therefore you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Yeah. So karma yoga, if someone is performing with material desires, so then they will get their enjoyment. They will also be slowly purified and they will realize Atmagyan. Or if one is purified and he is performing karma yoga, then he just performs it to set example for others. Yeah, Prabhupada is giving a devotional angle. There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. So these two types of people are there, and they perform both. They may perform karma yoga, but if they perform with material desires, then the results will be very slow. But if somebody understands the knowledge of Atma and all, and understands that the main thing is to focus on the spiritual realization, etc., so then they will perform Karma Yoga in a Nishkama way. So then they will get more quickly purified. Okay. So then Krishna begins to explain about initially about the cycle of karma, and then he will go on to explain about the process of karma. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayopi atra mohita
किम कर्मेति कवयोऽप्यत्र मोहिताः
tatte karma pravakshami yadgyatva mokshase ashubhat.
तत्ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि यज्ञात्वा मोक्षसे अशुभात्.
Yeah, which is karma and which is akarma are very difficult to understand. So that's why Krishna himself is clarifying, because he is the right person to clarify. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. So karma is prescribed duties. Akarma means performing prescribed duties without fruitive mentality and without magya. Yeah, you can read the purport.
Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in line of disciplic succession as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku, and the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of the previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because the direct instructions of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.19. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhishma, Sukdev Goswami, Yamraj, Janaka, and Bali Maharaj. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence.
Yeah. So, so the right person to know from this is Krishna. That's why Krishna himself is telling that te karma pravakshami. I myself is going to explain. Because to understand what is dharma, one has to hear from God, who has created that system of dharma. One should not speculate, know what is dharma, what is not dharma. Yeah. Now Krishna is going to explain what is karma. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmana.
कर्मणो हि अपि बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः
Akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gati.
अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गति.
The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So, the desires are two types. One is material desires. If material desires are performed or fulfilled through the Vedic procedures, then that is karma. And if material desires are fulfilled by going against Vedas, then it becomes vikarma. And there are spiritual desires like liberation and or attaining the absolute truth or God. So that for that, if one has to follow the Vedas and one should perform work without fruitive mentality, then it becomes akarma. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinction between the action, inaction, and unauthorized actions. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted actions because it is a very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. That is, one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently, one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmas or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered.
Yeah. So it's important to understand before performing an action, one has to see whether one is doing karma, vikarma, or akarma. So, or as a devotee, everyone has to see whether what we are doing, everything, is it akarma or not. If it is not, then how to make it akarma, how to come to that consciousness, one has to always contemplate. So yeah, one may be doing job, but whether one is doing the job in the mood of a karma or not, one has to always screw introspect. And we should as much as help people to understand this thing and uh, make them avoid vikarma so that they'll be helped. Next verse. Karmani akarma ya pashed akarmani cha karmaya
कर्मण्य कर्म यह पश्येद अकर्मणि च कर्मया
sabudhiman manusheshu sayukta kritsna karma krit.
सबुद्धिमान मनुष्येषु सयुक्त कृत्स्न कर्म कृत.
One who sees inaction in action and action in action and in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. Yeah. Yeah, this verse appears a bit confusing, but our acharyas explained it properly. So, action refers to prescribed duties, and inaction refers to Atmagyan. Hmm. So, seeing inaction in action means uh, so somebody has material desires. So somebody is following the Varnashrama. So through that, one understands the Atmagyan by following the one gets purified because one is accepting the authority of Vishnu and one is following the Vedic path. So there will be some purification. So by that one will slowly realize the Atmagyan. So in that way, uh, action means the prescribed duties are leading to transcendental knowledge, which is inaction. Yeah. And action in inaction. Initially, inaction in action, now action in inaction. So some people they may initially only they may be very interested in spiritual knowledge. They may be detached and all. So then first they may first understand the Atmagyan. And then the natural question will come. Okay, if I am the Atma, what is my duty? So then what is the duty? The duty is to follow Varnashrama Dharma. So that is action through inaction. So transcendental knowledge inspiring one to execute his prescribed duties properly. So that is it. Yes, you can read the purport.
A person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. His activities are all performed for Krishna. Therefore, he does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. Consequently, he is intelligent in human society, even though he is engaged in all sorts of activities for Krishna. Akarma means without reaction to work. The impersonalist ceases fruitive activities out of fear so that the resultant action may not be the stumbling block on the path of the self realization. But the personalist know rightly his position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Because everything is done for Krishna, he enjoys only transcendental happiness in the discharge of his service. Those who are engaged in this process are known to be without desire for personal sense gratification. The sense of eternal servitorship to Krishna makes one immune to all sorts of reactionary elements of work.
Yeah, this Prabhupada will explain. So, in even a devotional angle, also it can be seen. Somebody initially may be interested in service, so they initially may be attracted to doing services and all. But eventually, one realizes that one should have proper service attitude. One should be very sensitive in dealing with devotees, etc. So that way, action leads to inaction. Or sometimes some may be very spiritually inspired. They may be little more inclined to knowing philosophy, etc. So they may first do that, but then they understand, okay, we are the devotional service means we need mercy. So for getting mercy, we need to serve devotees, and so that way inaction leads to action. Now Krishna describes the symptoms of progress in karma yoga. Like one theoretically understands the importance of nishkam karma yoga, then he begins to follow that process. So, so what are some obstacles and how he overcomes and the symptoms of that Krishna is describing here. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita
यस्य सर्वे समारंभा कामसङ्कल्पवर्जिता
jnanagni karmanam tam ahu panditam buddha.
ज्ञानाग्निदग्धकर्माणं तम् आहुः पण्डितं बुधा.
Here the translation is: one is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. So when one is doing every work based on the Atma Gyan, so then slowly that desire to enjoy will go away. So that is one of the symptoms. So one will do the work as a form of a duty, as a form of a contribution to society, or ultimately as a form of worship to the Lord. So one will not do for sense gratification. Students, like some generally that is the trend, like in material consciousness, they want to just study so for the sake of getting good marks, so that they'll get good job, or so like that, so that they can impress people and all. They can purchase a lot of sense gratification and all. But some really dutiful students and all, so they study to want to study to learn knowledge and to contribute to society and all. So it's like that. Yeah, Prabhupada gives Krishna conscious perspective. So the next symptom: tyaktva karma falasangam nityatruप्तो nirashraya
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः
कर्माणि अभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सा.
कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
The translation: abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, he is ever satisfied and independent. He performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Yeah, he is doing his duties, he is doing activities, but there is no fruitive mentality. So that's why he is he's not wanting anything from his duties. He understands like whatever comes by the arrangement of Lord, so that is sufficient. He does not have any specific material goals. So this is something similar to what we discussed at the Ishavasya principle. So one understands that the Lord is the ultimate proprietor, and everything belongs to the Lord. So one does his duty, and whatever comes, something will come, and he is satisfied with it. Okay, then he is freed from possessiveness. Nirashiryata chittatma tyaktva sarva parigraha.
निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रह
शरीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
शरीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus, working he is not affected by sinful reactions. Yeah. Okay, so in the previous like shloka, if you see the taking the example of the student, so the student, he will not be so much he will be focused on learning. He will not be too much focused on becoming the topper, or not becoming get some scholarship or show off as intelligent, or no something like that. So that may happen naturally if he studies for the sake of learning the subject, etc. Or sometimes it may not happen. So he is not focused on that, but he is focused on learning the subject, and using that knowledge for the benefit of society. Okay, now coming to this verse. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus, working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. Yeah, as one does executes this Nishkama Karma Yoga, because he does not have any enjoyment mentality, and slowly he also comes to the realization that now everything belongs to the Lord, and even the intelligence to do this work is also given by the Lord. So in that way, he does not. So whatever results are also coming also belong to the Lord. So he offers them back to Lord, and in that way he begins to realize that how everything belongs to Lord, and that proprietorship mentality also goes away. So first, the desire for sense gratification. Second, he gets materially, he experiences satisfaction. And now the proprietorship mentality, the possessiveness also goes away. Like the students, like take the same example of the student. So if he is dutiful and all, then he realizes that because the focus is not on enjoyment, then he can understand that no, all the knowledge is coming by the help of the teachers, by through the books and all. So that possessive mentality, that I am the most knowledgeable and all, so that also goes away. So easily becomes, it becomes easy for him to become grateful, and attribute his success to his teachers and other students, etc. यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टो द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरा
यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टो द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः
समसिद्धौ असिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते.
समसिद्धौ असिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते.
The translation: he who is satisfied with the gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. So when one realizes that no, this is coming by the arrangement of the Lord, whatever results, so then one understands, okay, whatever I deserve by my karma, I'm getting. So then one will not be envious of others. If there are some better students in some other colleges, some other countries and all, he will want to learn from them, instead of he does not want to put them down and all, because Lord, as per their karma, pious karma and all, he's awarding them those results. So that's why he does not become envious to them. Yeah. So like this, as one practices further this nishkama, with nishkama mentality, he performing his prescribed duties, he slowly tries to see, he is able to see everything in connection with the Lord. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavastita chetasa
गतसङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसा
यज्ञाय यज्ञायाचरता कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
यज्ञयाचरत कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
The translation: the work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Yeah. So in this way, if one is not focused on not enjoying through the work and all, so he will slowly understand that how everything belongs to the Lord, how the intelligence to do the work, the all the opportunity to do the work, everything is arranged by the Lord. So in that way, he will be able to see the hand of God or Brahman in everything. So that Krishna will explain in the next shloka. Yeah. So before that, yeah. We discussed through the example of student, how he does not have any desires for sense gratification, how he is satisfied, and how he is free from the possessive mentality, and how he is uh, free from envy. Hmm. So you can take some three other roles, uh, maybe professional earning money through work, and parent rising and maintaining children, and preacher. So identify the possible desires for sense gratification. So what material desires may come while executing this role, and what kind of possessive mentality may come, and how one may feel envious towards others, how a employee may feel envious towards other employees, how a parent may feel envious towards other parents, like this. So then, some ideal examples from scriptures or even in ISKCON of ideal uh, devotees who earned money, and they they are free from possessive mentality and all, but they are earning money, or parents or preachers. So who are free from desires from sense gratification, possessiveness, and all these things. Yeah. So you can take around 7 minutes, and then we will discuss. Okay, so for the first question, maybe for the first role of professional. Okay. Mhm. Yes, bro, you can tell. She can.
Yes, for the professional role, desires of sense gratifications are like mostly I see observe that in the employees there is this cycle of tyaga and bhoga. That is, 5 days they'll work very hard,
Mm,
and over a weekend they will party even harder. So in that they will go in pubs, they'll get into all illicit activities like drinking, eating, dancing for their sense pleasures.
mm, mm,
So that is, I feel, desire for sense gratification that they have. Um, Possessive mentality is like they're very proud of the money that like we earn. So it's like my house, my car, my work that I have done this project. Like
mm,
they'll consider themselves the doers and not give credits to all others who have helped them.
mm, mm, mm,
Consider that way. Envy is like one thing I observed: someone else gets promoted earlier, or if someone else is earning more money than, even if they're lesser experience, then I've seen a lot of envy in people. And yeah, even if they see others are having good lifestyle, like
mm,
car, home, mobiles, better
mm,
gadgets,
mm.
that envy comes in. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, now maybe can you say if somebody has God consciousness, how they can overcome these three issues for this role? If
Uh,
you can. Okay.
desire. I have to answer it, or
Yeah, if you can answer, yeah, you can answer. How God consciousness helps them to overcome these obstacles.
yeah.
Answer, Prabhuji.
Okay, maybe I'll discuss that at the end I'll discuss. Okay. Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mother, you want to answer? Okay, now we will take for the second parent. Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mata, you can answer.
Hare Krishna, Sundar Pranam. So for parent, the desire of sense gratification come by raising the child with the motive of fulfilling their own dreams.
Mm,
So that itself is a sense gratification.
mm,
And second is that they in that desire they try to provide their children with the best possible needs which
mm,
are not necessary for the children but just they are copying the societal norms, so
mm.
called societal norms, and in
Okay,
that they are engaging more in the sense gratification.
okay. Mm,
And because of that they develop a possessive mentality and they start feeling that everything belongs to them, everything in the sense the
mm,
child and the child's activities belong to them,
mm,
and they are the one who are responsible to safeguard their future by accumulating the possessions for him.
mm,
So by this way, the possessive mentality develops in them, and ultimately they start feeling they are the master of their child,
mm,
rather than feeling that they are caretakers.
mm. Okay.
And envy comes into scene when the same parents uh, yes, they observe or they see other children who are in good socio-economic position rather than their own child,
Mm,
and then they start comparing and questioning, and thus envy multiplies.
okay. Yeah. Thank you. Very nice. Yeah, so they think child are like an investment.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, for preacher, somebody wants to tell? Preacher, anyone wants to tell or to discuss? Mm. Okay. Yes, Mataji, you can tell first, then she can tell.
Yes, Prabhuji. So for preachers, because they are already aware of the fact that everything belongs to Lord, So that will not come mostly, but the desire for name, fame, and the leadership position, that itself is the desire for sense gratification for preachers,
mm,
because other things cannot attract them.
mm,
And because of this, the possessive mentality develops in such a way that the
mm,
doership mentality arises in them, and they start believing that because of them the services are going smoothly,
mm,
or because of them the activities are being performed smoothly. So this doership mentality will
mm,
and envy comes when they do not get the desired attention, and
mm.
then they start envying other devotees, maybe superior or maybe inferior.
Okay. Yes. Yes, Shrikant, bro, you want to add something?
I think similar lines. One is like for sense gratification, preacher may feel that to whom he's preaching is better than them, is
Mm.
situated better
Okay.
than the others. That
Okay.
feeling comes in.
Mhm.
For possessiveness, I think we can. These are my students. I have brought them to Krishna
Yeah.
consciousness or something like that.
Mm,
And for envy, it's like if someone who is for lesser time in Krishna consciousness,
mm,
experience wise, but still if he's more famous, he's very good at his
mm,
preaching, and others than that envy can.
mm. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now for second one, some ideal examples.
Can I answer, Prabhuji?
Yes. Yes, bro.
Desires of sense gratification, Ramananda Rai, he controlled his senses, no?
Okay. Okay. Yes. Very nice. Yes. Okay. You want to answer some others also? Others also you can
Yeah,
answer.
possessiveness is Amrish Maharaj,
Mm-hmm.
Amrish Maharaj.
Okay. ठीक है, bro.
And
Nice.
okay, one more I can answer.
Yeah. Yeah. You can answer others also.
Satisfied way में Sidhar Kola Vecha,
Mm-hmm. Good.
free from envy. Suniti, she has, sorry, Surichi, she has taught, no?
Sunita.
Dhruva Maharaj about it.
Sunita is the mother of Dhruva. So yeah,
Yeah,
she
she
is
taught her
not.
not to be envious.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Good.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Amrit. Yes, Amrita Mataji, you want to answer?
Almost same, Prabhu. Free from envy is Kunti Maharani,
Mm-hmm.
and
In what sense?
spiritually,
Like,
so many hurdles are coming. Duryodhana had taken
okay,
like that, and spiritually absorbed is Haridas Thakur and Raghunath Das Goswami.
okay, okay, fine, fine, good. Okay, yes. Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mataji, you want to answer?
Prabhuji, I already from Shastra, many examples are there, but I wanted to share one personal example which I have seen here amongst the devotees. So
Mm,
there is one Prabhuji from Bangalore
mm,
who recently joined as temple president or vice temple president at Delhi ISKCON.
mm-hmm,
So I heard about him that he was in a position where he was like offered to be the CEO of a company or something like that.
mm-hmm,
But Prabhuji very humbly rejected that offer, and he is now full time husband and wife both are serving at ISKCON Delhi. So this was like I have heard many examples, but looking at that Prabhuji and hearing it sitting in in that group, that was something like living example in Kalyuga, who is like not calling himself an exalted devotee, is just calling himself, but giving up all these positions. This was
mm.
something which I saw and experienced. So
Okay,
that
okay,
example just crossed my mind.
yeah,
I
nice.
don't remember Prabhuji's name.
Okay, okay, yeah, many other examples. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, anyone else wants to share anything? Okay, fine. Thank you. Yeah. For a professional, yes, if he's God conscious, then he understands. So naturally, the desire, because when he understands the happiness comes from God and not from matter, so the desires for sense gratification will not be there. And possessive mentality, he understands the intelligence, the opportunity to work, the intelligence, everything is given by God. So that will not be there. And envy, because he sees other employees also as per their karma and all, they are getting that promotions and all, so that will not be there. And yeah, for a parent, so he understands that it is his duty to the towards the child, not means he sees parenting as a duty but not as a means for acquiring sense gratification through the children. And positive mentality also, he understands that the child is an atma of, is an another living entity who is part and parcel of Krishna. And envy also, again, different children of different parents and all, as per their karma and all, they are getting, they have better talents or they have better facilities, so that is there. Preacher also, he, if he's really good, has good level of Krishna consciousness, then he sees himself as a servant of the people whom he is preaching. So that way he sees them, considers them, or he considers himself as a servant of them. So there is no possessive mentality, and there is no envy also, because he sees like Krishna is empowering different preachers in different ways. So whatever empowerment Krishna is there, with that, is one should serve Krishna. So like that. So like that, if there is God consciousness, these impurities will not be there. So one of the symptoms of advancement is these things should slowly, gradually should reduce the desires for sense gratification, possessive mentality, and envy. So, so, and we can also try to consciously work on them also, because advancement takes time. But if these are not there, then one can practice also more better way. So both ways one can try to work on these things. So now in the next shloka, Krishna gives this example of spiritual absorption. How a karma yogi sees everything as Brahman. Brahmarpanam brahmahavi brahmagno brahmanahutam
ब्रह्मणार्पणं ब्रह्महवीर् ब्रह्माग्नौ ब्रह्मणहुतम्
brahmaiva tena gantavyam brahma karma samadhina.
ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्म कर्म समाधिना.
A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Did I make any notes? Okay, let me first try. So in this yajna means no, what is being offered, that is also Brahman, that is also made of Brahman. So they offer ghee, they offer these no sesame seeds. So so that is again Brahman, Brahmagno. So the to do the they are offering to the fire. So the fire is also Brahman, and the ladle thus that is, so with that they are offering. So that is also made of Brahman, and ultimately it is going to Brahman. So so this way they see everything. So here Krishna is taking the example of yajna, a fire sacrifice, and he's demonstrating how a Nishkama Karma Yogi sees everything as Brahman. Okay, we will see from Prabhupada how it is. Yes, Prabhu, you can read the purport.
How activities in Krishna consciousness can lead one ultimately to the spiritual goal is described here. There are various activities in Krishna consciousness, and all of them will be described in the following verses. But for the present, just the principle of Krishna consciousness is described. A conditioned soul entangled in material contamination is sure to act in the material atmosphere, and yet he has to get out of such an environment. The process by which the conditioned soul can get out of the material atmosphere is Krishna consciousness. For example, a patient who is suffering from a disorder of bowels due to overindulgence of in milk products is cured by another milk product, namely yogurt. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth here in the Gita. This process is generally known as yajna or activities, sacrifices simply meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. The more the activities of the material world are performed in Krishna consciousness or for Vishnu only, the more the atmosphere becomes spiritualized by the complete absorption. The word Brahma, Brahman means spiritual. The Lord is spiritual, and the rays of his transcendental body are called Brahma Jyoti, his spiritual effulgence. Everything that exists is situated in that Brahma Jyoti. But when the Jyoti is covered by illusion, Maya, or sense gratification, it is called material. This material wheel can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus, the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor, and the result are all combined together, Brahman, or the Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth covered by Maya is called matter. The matter dovetailed for the cause of the Absolute Truth regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman or the Supreme. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, it is said to be in samadhi or trance. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yajna or sacrifice for the absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer or leader of the performance, and the result or ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the absolute, the supreme Brahman. That is the method of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. So even the priest also is an is a part and parcel of Brahman. So that way all. So as one practices this karma yoga, or as Prabhupada explained, Krishna consciousness, so one will slowly, initially everyone, the conditioned soul is trained to see everything in terms of what enjoyment something gives. So initially, if an outsider or no, a materialistic person sees a yajna, so he may be thinking, "No, okay, when will I get that, bhoga, and no, when this yajna will get over?" So although like that they may be seeing, but as one practices the
Your
process,
voice is not coming clearly.
huh? Is it for everyone? Or okay, so
I can I can hear, bro.
huh?
Not sure. I can hear it, not sure about others.
Okay, okay.
Clear, Prabhu.
Okay, okay, fine. So as as one practices the process and gradually gets purified, so one will begin to see everything, like everything, like this example of yajna. So uh, everything in relation to Krishna. So in that way, one will always be absorbed in remembering Krishna. So in the coming verses, Krishna is going to explain the different how every practical activity we perform can be a yajna of Vishnu. Okay. We will take only this verse, and other verses will cover in the next class. Daivam evapare yajnam yogina paryupasate
Daivam evapare yajnam yogina pariyupasate.
brahmagnau apare yajnam yajnaiva upajuhvati.
Brahmagnau apare yajnam yajne naivopajuhati.
The translation: some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. Mm, mm. Okay, maybe we'll read the purport. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
As described above, a person engaged in discharging duties in Krishna consciousness is also called a perfect yogi or a first class mystic. But there are others also who perform similar sacrifices in the worship of demigods, and still others who sacrifice to the Supreme Brahman or the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord. So there are different kinds of sacrifices in terms of different categories. Such different categories of sacrifice by different types of performance only superficially demark varieties of sacrifice. Factually, sacrifice means to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is also known as Yajna. All the different varieties of sacrifice can be placed within two primary divisions, namely the sacrifice of worldly possessions and the sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. Those who are in Krishna consciousness sacrifice all material possessions for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, while the others who want some temporary material happiness, they sacrifice their material possessions to satisfy demigods such as Indra, sun god, etc. And others who are impersonalists sacrifice their identity by merging into the existence of impersonal Brahman. The demigods are powerful living entities appointed by the Supreme Lord for the maintenance and supervision of all the material functions like the heating, watering, and lighting of the universe. Those who are interested in material benefits, they worship the demigods by various sacrifices according to the Vedic rituals. They are called Bhava Ishwaravadi or believers in many gods. But others who worship the impersonal feature of the absolute truth and regard the forms of the demigods as temporary, sacrifice their individual selves into the supreme fire and thus end their individual existences by merging into the existence of the supreme. Such impersonalists sacrifice their time in philosophical speculation to understand the transcendental nature of supreme. In other words, the fruity workers sacrifice their material possessions for material enjoyment, whereas the impersonalists sacrifice their material designations with the view to merge into the existence of the Supreme. For the impersonalist, the fire altar of the sacrifice is the Supreme Brahman, and the offering is the self being consumed by the fire of Brahman. A Krishna conscious person like Arjuna, however, sacrifices everything for the satisfaction of Krishna, and thus all his material possessions as well as his own self, everything is sacrificed for Krishna. Thus, he is a first class yogi, but he does not lose his individual existence.
Okay, yeah. So as Prabhupada explained, there are two types of sacrifices. Means that one sacrifice can be for demigods, but they will be generally for material purposes. So in that case, uh, but in that also the conception of for a karma yogi is clear that the demigods also the authority of the are servants of the Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu is the supreme authority of the material universe. So with that conception, they may worship the demigods for some material benefits. But some others, they may perform directly yajna to uh, Lord Vishnu or even that an impersonal Brahman. So they may do as their duty. So some may perform that yajna as a duty because in the Vedic culture, householders they have this Panchamaha yajna. So Panchamaha yajna or yeah. So the Brahma yajna, they have to study the scriptures. Deva yajna, they have to means as a gratitude they should offer something to the demigods. And Pitra Yajna, the forefathers, Bhuta Yajna, like serving guests, etc. Manushya Yajna, I think it's charity, so like that. So Deva Yajna means they have to perform that homa every day. So the and so these things in general also, even if people are very pious, some sinful reactions inadvertently happens. Like when one lights a picture, one lights a stove, some insects may get killed. While walking also some insects may get killed. So to counter this sins also, one performs these yajnas to counter those as a atonement and all. So so that way there are two different types of yajnas performed. So Krishna is going to describe some more yajnas in terms of different ashramas, varnas, and all this in next few verses. So that we'll discuss in the next class. Okay, any questions on what we discussed till now? What we discussed today? Okay. Okay. So we briefly saw how, yes, Shrikant, through some question.
In that verse of action and inaction, like my
Mm-hmm.
understanding was that inaction is akarma
Mm-hmm.
and action is karma.
Mm-hmm.
We can see that devotees also they feel like they're also doing like other work. Materialists they're also working, but that is actually akarma because they're serving Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Others they some who are not in knowledge but they're doing some feel like doing a karma but in karma. So I was like little confused. Is that understanding also correct? Because you mentioned inaction as atma jnana. This was something
Mm.
new.
Yeah, so that is what our Acharya say. I have seen it from Baldev Vidyabhushan commentary. But this also, so there is another explanation also I heard. So while doing activities, like while doing normal activities, as you said, those activities can be done as a worship of the Lord. So that is like, inaction in action. And action in inaction, so that is explained like if somebody is even renounced also, he also has to do some work for his body and all that. So even if somebody is renounced also, there is some physical, some work he has to do. So that also is there. So this is another explanation I heard.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. ठीक है. ठीक है. I hope there are no questions. So okay, so today we studied the different symptoms of of a Nishkam Karma Yogi. Means as he gets purified, what are all the different symptoms? That is the main thing. And also how Lord does not have any selfish motive in creating this Varnashrama system. And as one realizes that, so one will be more inclined to do Nishkam Karma Yoga than Sakam. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila
Prabhuji,
Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita
Prabhuji,
ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So which shlokas are there for recitation? Yes.
Every day we are doing that. You want numbers, then yeah, I can.
Exact number which are generally the whole we cannot memorize. I don't think all the.
Else,
Whole, no, not whole. Like every day we are reciting before class.
Acha, the first one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So those
First
shlokas
list.
are
Yeah.
only there. That's why we are reciting them.
Yes, yes.
That is
Thank
one
you
of
so
the
much, sir.
reasons.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So that is there in the course book. Like you have in the beginning of the course, we have given the handbook, no? So it is there.
उसमें handbook is given, Prabhuji.
Uh,
soft copy.
Soft copy is there. If you want hard copy, you can take from BVRV.
Soft copy was given on the this WhatsApp, na?
Yeah, yeah, WhatsApp, yes.
No problem, Prabhuji. I'll manage with that.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you, Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you very much. Vanja Kalpatarubhyasha Pasandara.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.